In just a few years, we've gone from this to this, from this to this, and from this to this. You'd have to be blind not to notice that the inside of cars is looking more and more like the inside of prisons. If you like cars, if you know a bit about car culture, or if you've simply been in a car even once, as a child, you likely noticed car interiors have changed a lot recently. Today, most cars have similar designs: a horizontal dashboard, a central screen, and one behind the steering wheel. If possible, doors with a leather effect that smells like plastic and matching black seats, no matter which manufacturer you choose. More people, both enthusiasts and others, agree it's ugly, badly designed, and soulless. Several reasons explain the shift toward the cold minimalism seen in all brands. We'll explore this world together in this video. As a former industry designer, I've discussed car exterior design and the evolution of automotive brands. I've explored the past to understand this passion, but today I want to discuss what's inside modern cars. Since it's an essential part of the automobile, and it's totally part of our daily lives, General Motors' former product director, Bob Lutz, said a good interior is the second most important customer contact point. The first is the exterior appearance, and when the customer opens the door, the interior has to deliver on the promise made by the exterior. So what interests me today is to take you behind the scenes and understand with you when car interiors stopped being pleasant and comfortable places with warm designs that were part of the signature of car manufacturers, and above all, why they started to look like holding cells. Looking back, the car's origins trace to the carriage, coach, and horse-drawn car. Arriving in the 17th and 18th centuries, these vehicles had a driver for the horses and a separate compartment for passengers. It was a kind of taxi for that time. The interiors of these carriages could be of different styles, depending on the period and the country, but it was a luxury that was not accessible to everyone. So, they always represented a certain status, with fine materials and decorations, whether they were closed or open. There was craftsmanship, leather, and gilding. So-called automobiles and modern vehicles appeared at the end of the 19th century, since nothing is ever truly invented. Starting from scratch, their interiors adopted the stylistic codes of horse-drawn carriage upholstery, such as buggies, coaches, and horse-drawn cars. With leather seats, since that was the sturdy material by default, wood, details, thick fabrics, and so on. By the way, as an anecdote, the steering wheel we know today was designed to be round because that most closely resembled the hand position when handling a horse's reins. There was no air conditioning or screen, but there was style and refinement. People expected interiors to look like living rooms, reflecting your personality. In a way, your vehicle's interior felt like extra space in your home, offering more style than comfort. A few decades later, starting from the reconstruction after World War II, so from the 1950s to the late 1980s, we get modern cars that look more like the ones we know today. The automobile is now a product of industrial design. We'll refer to this as the era of the cockpit. Cars become accessible to everyone, making chauffeurs less needed. The driver acts as a pilot, and passengers enjoy a comfortable cabin. But above all, everything is designed so that each trip is a sensory experience in several ways. Beautiful design lines and quality materials on the dashboards and door panels. The feel, metallic lacquer or grained leather, and even the olfactory aspect, with a scent that emerges depending on the materials introduced by the design into the cabin. Not to mention, of course, the sound, with an engine that thrills and delights every user of these cars. As symbols of good, only taste is missing. We have no solution except for those who bite the seats, but back then, the sensory experience was always present. Ferruccio Lamborghini, the famous tractor manufacturer, used to say at the time that every detail had to be taken care of to make a good car. The finish, interior trim, and this interior design style. At the time, it gave us beautiful examples that have remained in our memories. We can start with the Jaguar E-Type in 1961. A brushed aluminum dashboard, airplane switches, watch-like fine needles, and near-religious symmetry. So yes, that's very luxurious, but in a different style. We have the Citroën SM. This rolling sculpture, featuring a wavy dashboard, oval gauges, and a single-spoke steering wheel, represented the 1970 vision of the future cockpit, and still with the SM. You could say it was premium for its time, but with other models, even more affordable ones, you find this. For example, who offers the 99 Turbo? It has ergonomics designed like an airplane cockpit, with the instruments grouped around the driver. What fascinates me are the thick fabric seats that look so comfortable, which you rarely see today. And if you're looking for an ultra-popular car, unbeatable in terms of simplicity and still pretty, there's no better example than my little Yacht 500 from 1965. The interior is simple with just 3 buttons, original red seats, and a stylish body-colored dashboard. It had a certain charm. On the other hand, in terms of comfort and safety back then, it was really a whole different concept. The Maserati Boomerang from 1972 is a prime example of creative interior design in concept cars. A steering wheel extends from the dashboard with gauges built in. With a futuristic, almost brutalist look, this concept was a spaceship design created before Star Wars. Europeans weren't the only ones inspiring dreams in the United States. The interior became a show in itself, and sometimes almost the main differentiating feature of a car on the market. Look at this Cadillac Eldorado. In the mid-70s, a velvet sofa in the front, chrome everywhere, a dashboard as wide as a dresser, you really felt like you were settling into a rolling living room. Lincoln had a similar vibe, featuring the Continental Mark IV's thick carpet, clock, and central upper window, plus the legendary twin comfort seats that hug you like theater chairs. Americans were known for their kitschy, over-the-top idea of luxury back then. It's interesting how car interiors from those years had unique style and character based on the manufacturer's country. Until the 1980s, even mainstream Italian cars had a touch of extravagance. For example, the Lancia Trevi's bold gauges or the Fiat Coupe's body-colored dashboard. Germany focused on rigor, clarity, and seriousness, as seen in the Audi A8 and Mercedes W124. In France, design was creative and wild, seen in the Citroën CX Twingo 1 and Matra Rancho. In Japan, sci-fi inspired designs appeared in models like the Subaru SVX and Toyota Sauer. Basically, cars really reflected their nationality, and that's maybe something I'll talk about later in a future video, so let me know in the comments if you're interested. The transition to the new millennium and the early 2000s marked a shift toward greater rationality in terms of style, which slowly erased beauty, charm, and passion. That's when things truly went off the rails. Industrial standardization began in 1990, leading to more reuse of the same components, mainly for economic reasons, but also to speed things up. You know how it goes. In the automotive industry, faster and cheaper don't always mean good or beautiful. So yes, it's convenient for manufacturers because they can create a single steering wheel, a single type of button, and a single climate control unit for 6 different models. The interior isn't really designed anymore, it's assembled from what's already available. For many models, there's a supplier effect. Suppliers are the hidden side of the automotive world. Companies less famous than the brands, but that have a huge influence, like Valeo, Forvia, Plastic Omnium, to mention the major French companies that don't build cars, but sell their products to several manufacturers. It's good in principle, since no single manufacturer can produce everything alone. Ultimately, the system's flaw is that everyone ends up with the same products as competitors. Customer experience now rarely reflects the brand's original identity, leading to clone cars. Groups such as Volkswagen, Stellantis, and Toyota have experimented with this standardization. They reduced costs but lost their identity. Yes, because now all car interiors look the same and users can't tell them apart. We no longer look forward to the next releases because we already know it will be pretty much the same as the previous one. That was also when car makers began merging and being acquired to form large groups. The decline of independence coincides with standardization, helping all players save time and money. Customers are increasingly struggling to choose, connect with brands, or see the value between models. Consider this example. In 1997, the Golf 4 was available on the market. The interior is simple and functional, with hard plastics, dark gray or black colors, a vertical angular dashboard, and a fully analog interface. At that time, you could also buy the Audi A3 8L, which was more premium with soft-touch plastics, a cozy feel, and Audi's signature red lighting. The dashboard was rounder and driver-focused, featuring analog instruments with a more refined design. Back then, there was no real resemblance. Now the Golf 8 and A3 8Y, their successors, share the same technical platform. Same ergonomics and electronic architecture with similar positioning and nearly identical screen size. Similar touch controls with fewer and fewer physical buttons and seats that look quite alike, thanks to the suppliers. By the way, speaking of screens, digital technology has taken up a huge place, both literally and figuratively, in our car interiors. We moved from small monochrome LCDs to touch tablets, then to a battle of giant screens. It really makes you wonder if in a few years we won't end up with a home theater instead of a windshield. It's almost ridiculous how screen suppliers are now more important than designers, and the interiors are designed around the screens and not at all around the drivers anymore. They absolutely no longer think about how to improve the driving experience, but rather about which digital minigame they can come up with to keep the driver busy while they're charging their car's battery. That's my opinion, and you can tell me if you agree in the comments. To me, screens are naturally ugly. They're square tablets that age fast and look black when off, and it's neither ergonomic nor really suited to the style of car interiors. On top of that, it's adding extra screens for people who already have plenty of screens in the rest of their lives. Yes, smartphone, tablet, computer, television. It's about questioning why we can't use our own devices and connect them to our car when we drive. Especially since, to be honest, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are now widespread. This question is common among manufacturers and suppliers, but many technical, ergonomic, and safety constraints remain. I couldn't mention how car interiors are increasingly resembling holding cells. Not to mention the one and only car that dealt a fatal blow to interior design. I'm talking about the Tesla Model 3. We often joke about it, but it's true. Tesla's minimalist design dealt a decisive blow to the previous decade's design trends. For interior designers and enthusiasts, the first Model 3 marked the beginning of the end. It kicked off a minimalist trend that reduced our beloved designers to creating empty cars with a single central screen called the Central Interface Display. The steering wheel is minimized to two small, toy-like knobs. Tesla, being more of a tech brand than just a car brand, smartly built all their features into the model's interface. It may seem like a good idea at first, but it can quickly turn into a nightmare for the user. Everything is controlled via the screen, including the glove box, so if the interface fails, you're stuck. No glove box, music volume controls, air conditioning, etc. Innovation is great, but we shouldn't forget a car is a living space. Technology should make life easier, not more complicated. Physical buttons worked well, made sense, and served an ergonomic purpose. But also a sense of information hierarchy with different shapes and sizes. This physical connection taps into the driver's muscle memory, letting them find the radio button without looking away from the road. In our cars with screens now, we have to look at the screen to do everything. It makes us dependent to the point where it could even become dangerous. As a bonus today, we need onboard cameras to ensure drivers don't focus too much on the central screen while driving. The circle is complete, but, well, when Tesla releases its Model 3, they entered mass production, competing with established rivals, so they needed to stand out. And honestly, that's been accomplished, even very well accomplished, since today Tesla's design has become a standard, just like Apple with its iPhone on the market. Manufacturers are trying to mimic Tesla-style interiors, aligning their screen designs. Cars are increasingly similar, and manufacturers and vehicles lack personality. Even in different markets, each has unique, specific needs. We get a competition to outdo Tesla, resulting in increasingly bland digital interiors. Honestly, we can't solely blame Tesla, who was simply a pioneer of a new era. Manufacturers often prefer making products minimalist, bland, and soulless because it's economically appealing. We've already understood that with the standardization of manufacturer platforms, costs were reduced, but with the simplification of interiors, it's even more profitable. Because the screen replaces over 30 parts, knobs, buttons, and sliders for climate, audio, multimedia, navigation, and settings, all are now managed through menus. It also means fewer cables, less assembly, fewer workers to pay, and higher profit margins. And the magic of manufacturers is that they've managed to sell us this as something technological and stylish. Plus, there's the biggest marketing trick of the past 20 years, subscriptions. When you mention screens, you mean computers, data, subscriptions. And manufacturers are increasingly able to offer us digital options. BMW offers heated seats as a subscription while Mercedes charges for the option. For certain electric models, which they call acceleration increase, it allows access to an unlocking that gives you more power. Or even Kia, which through its Kia Connect system offers infotainment and diagnostic services as a subscription. Also, there's an extra layer of digital options that will push the driver to pay. Leasing has revolutionized the market, making cars simple products for use without real attachment. In a world where cars are less desired and increasingly seen as services, too bad if it seems like the most frustrating and even disturbing waiting room. In fact, when you look into the subject, what we have on the road is not at all the future of car interiors we've been promised for years. On the production side, it's getting worse and worse, less human, while when it comes to concept cars, all the manufacturers are showing us exactly the opposite. They've discussed a new lounge-like living space with us for a while, representing a third living space between home and outside, featuring modular, spacious, and comfortable design. An example is the innovative but overlooked 2017 Renault Symbioz concept. The interior was styled like a mobile lounge, replacing traditional car design with contemporary furniture elements. The 4 seats rotate 180 degrees, creating a lounge when autonomous mode is on. The materials resemble high-end furniture more than car materials. Light wood for the floor and inserts, grey felt for the seats, white porcelain for the decorative elements, which gives a nod to French tableware and a Scandinavian atmosphere with warm and indirect lighting. The goal was to create a soothing atmosphere for both passengers and the driver. A digital, minimalist dashboard is designed to focus on what matters, driving or enjoying time with family, just like in your living room. In contrast to today's overloaded, often superficial interfaces, I'm also thinking of DS's 2020 Aerosport Lounge concept car. Inside, there's a premium lounge feel with quality materials and extensive customization, blending craftsmanship and technology. The central screen disappears in favor of a projected display that puts style at the heart of the design, and an interface that adapts to the style, not the other way around. The Mercedes Vision AVTR, unveiled at Consumer Electronics Show that year, was created in collaboration with the movie Avatar. This vision aims to show the fusion of humans, craftsmen, machines, and nature through biomimicry, with, in addition, a zero-impact approach that uses sustainable materials. Just like the DS concept, there's an interface that merges with the cabin, which ultimately provides a fully immersive experience. So it's a shame to see that we're still far from that, especially when we spend so much time in our cars. Despite changes over the past century, it's still important in our daily lives and where we experience transitions, between work and home or between school and after-school activities. If we have kids, the car is often a special time for parent-child talks or quietly listening to music. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who stays inside, even after arriving at my destination, just to finish the song I'm listening to. I've concluded it can be a living space, an extension of the house. Ultimately, it's the exact opposite of current market offerings, which just put two screens in front of us. A black dashboard with faux aluminum, vegan leather, and synthetics feels cold, neutral, and impersonal. The driver turns into a passive operator, a non-player character or sim, using only what manufacturers provide. Our car is the same as our neighbors, and theirs matches their neighbors too. You get the idea? The pioneers and historic brands still set the style, though they must also adapt to trends. Like Ferrari, who introduced the passenger screen, and for the other brands, it's just copy-paste, but less well done. Sometimes when I look at the interiors of cars on the street, it's like I'm at Fnac in the television section having to choose one. They're identical, showing the same thing and only differing in size and price. Despite everything, not all is lost. In autos, as in fashion or real estate, luxury always leads. Manufacturers in this category always seek to stand out, and they're now starting a movement opposite to the mainstream market. By blending digital and emotion, like the new Bugatti Tourbillon, which features just one small unfolding screen, while allowing space for the driver's area to remain beautiful, its analog cluster displays exceptional automotive craftsmanship, resembling watchmaking pieces. It's magnificent. Similarly, Pagani, Singer, and Koenigsegg emphasize perfect buttons, machined gear levers, and premium materials. Even if this model is mostly inaccessible to most people, it still feels good. It mainly shows us that in the future, if a brand wants to be premium, it's not the screen they'll need to focus on, because everyone will have that, even the most obscure Chinese brands. In the next few years, we may see a return to analog, as touch controls have exhausted everyone. Users miss physical buttons, and smart manufacturers are noticing. Ferrari replaced the touch start-stop area on the steering wheel with a physical button in its latest models. After many customer complaints, they corrected their approach. Audi paved the way with its Concept C, which I discussed in this video. It features a highly analog interior, no central screen, and high-quality physical aluminum buttons. It's still a concept, but the model will be produced, and this philosophy will definitely shape the interior. More people want to feel experiences, not just interact, and this trend extends beyond the automotive world. It's quite general in all aspects of society. Having a beautiful, well-made pen with the right balance, a sturdy lighter that lasts over time, a timelessly styled coffee table of good quality. Everyday items are gradually becoming increasingly important to people, after years of accepting impersonal objects and living through screens. Even though we're going through a rough patch with interiors that don't make you want to get in the car every morning, I still have a glimmer of hope. The future of automotive design will focus on human elements and quality over quantity, even for mass-produced models, making it more emotional than digital. Because what makes a car beautiful isn't found in the pixels that light up when the car is running, but in what it makes us feel when everything is still.